Every single day, you perform a little bit of magic. You tap on glass, you swipe, you pinch to zoom, and this entire digital world just bends to your will. It's an interaction that's so seamless, so intuitive, that we almost never stop to think about the incredible science that's actually making it all possible. So today, we're going to pull back that curtain on the invisible technology that lives right at your fingertips.
Okay, let's just dive right into the big question. It seems so simple, doesn't it? But the answer, well, it involves physics, it involves material science, and some truly brilliant engineering. It's really a journey from brute force pressure to the elegant manipulation of invisible energy fields. So how does that screen sensor every single move? Let's break it down. To really appreciate the screen that's in your hand today, we first have to look back at its ancestors. The technology we're using now is a massive, massive leap forward from where it all started. We've moved from a system that literally felt your push to one that senses your very presence.
Yeah, if you remember the old ATMs, or maybe a Nintendo DS, or those PDAs from before the iPhone era, you know this feeling. Those are what we call resistive touchscreens. They basically worked like a high-tech button. You had to physically press down on a flexible plastic top layer until it actually made contact with another layer underneath. And that's what completed an electrical circuit. It was all about mechanical pressure. Brute force, really. So this slide really lays out the whole revolution. On the left, you've got the old guard, resistive screens. That flexible plastic surface, it was prone to scratches, and the air gap between the layers meant the display underneath just looked dimmer, only letting through maybe 75 to 80% of the light. And forget about multi-touch. But on the right, that's the tech in your pocket, capacitive. It uses durable glass. It has over 90% optical clarity. And crucially, it was built for the multi-finger gestures that define how we use our devices today. What's wild is that the idea of a capacitive screen isn't even new. It was actually invented way back in 1965. But for decades, resistive technology was just cheaper and easier to make. I mean, look here, even the very first smartphone, the IBM Simon in '93, used a resistive screen. The real turning point, the moment everything changed, was 2007. The iPhone made its fluid, multi-touch interface the new standard, and it felt like the entire industry changed course almost overnight. All right, so we've established that modern screens don't use pressure. Instead, they use something far more fundamental, electricity. So let's get into the core scientific principle that allows a simple piece of glass to react to the absolute lightest touch of your finger. Okay, so everything, and I mean everything, comes down to this one component, a capacitor. The classic example you learn in school is two metal plates with a little gap of air between them. When you apply a voltage, an electric field forms between those plates, and it stores energy. That ability to store charge is called capacitance. It's a fundamental building block of electronics, and as it turns out, it's the heart of your phone's screen. And here it is. This is the big secret. The screen itself only provides one half of the capacitor. The other half, well, that's you. Your body is mostly water and electrolytes, which makes it an excellent conductor of electricity. So when you bring your finger near the screen, you are, in that very moment, becoming a critical part of an electronic circuit. You are literally completing the capacitor. So let's walk through what happens in that split second you touch the screen. First, the screen's controller creates a stable, invisible electrostatic field all across its surface. Then, as your conductive finger gets close, it starts to interact with that field. When you make contact, your body's ability to hold a charge, its capacitance, couples with the screen's field, and it draws a tiny, tiny amount of charge right to that specific point. And the brain of the operation, the touch controller, is constantly scanning for these tiny disruptions. It measures exactly where the capacitance changed and translates that into a perfect X and Y coordinate.
Okay, so a single touch makes sense. But what about pinch to zoom? How does your phone track 2 or 5 or even 10 fingers all at once for these really complex gestures? Well, that requires moving from a simple field to a highly sophisticated invisible grid of sensors.
The specific technology is called projected capacitive, or PCAP for short, and the name is actually a huge clue. The electrostatic field isn't just sitting on the surface, it's projected up through the protective cover glass. This is what makes the screen so durable, but it's also what allows it to sense your finger even when you're just hovering a millimeter or so above the surface. I love this simple explanation because it just perfectly captures the concept. Underneath the glass you're touching, there's an incredibly fine grid of transparent wires or electrodes. One set of these wires runs horizontally and another set runs vertically.
These two layers create this dense matrix of intersections, and every single one of those intersections is a potential touch point. Now, there are a couple of ways this grid can work. Early systems use what's called self-capacitance. The controller just measured the charge on each individual row and column. It was sensitive, but if you touched it with 2 fingers, the controller would see 2 rows and 2 columns light up, but it couldn't be sure which intersections were the real touches. This created a problem called ghosting. The real breakthrough was mutual capacitance. Think of this more like a sonar grid. One set of lines actively sends a signal, those are the drive lines, and the other set listens for that signal, the sense lines. This creates a stable electric field at every single intersection. When your finger gets near one of those intersections, your body steals a tiny bit of that signal, which decreases the charge that the sense line receives. By scanning every intersection for that specific decrease, the controller can map multiple, distinct touches perfectly, with zero ghosting. And that mutual capacitance grid, that's what unlocks everything we take for granted on a modern device. When you pinch to zoom, the software is just tracking the changing distance between 2 precise points on that grid. A swipe is just a continuous path of changing coordinates. Every complex gesture in a game or a creative app is made possible by the screen's ability to track dozens, sometimes hundreds, of these intersection points simultaneously and in real time. So we've talked about these invisible fields and invisible grids. But how on earth do you build a grid of electrical sensors on a screen that also has to be perfectly clear so you can actually see the display underneath it? Well, this required a revolution in material science and structural engineering.
So, meet the unsung hero of your touchscreen, Indium Tin Oxide, or ITO for short. It's a truly remarkable material made by mixing indium, tin, and oxygen. It's applied to the glass in an incredibly thin film, using a process where it's basically vaporized in a vacuum and then deposited atom by atom onto the surface. Now here's the crucial thing about ITO. It has 2 properties that are normally a complete contradiction. It's electrically conductive, which allows it to form that complex grid of sensors we just talked about, but at the same time, it's also almost perfectly transparent, letting up to 90% of the light from the display pass right through it. It's this combination of superpowers that makes the whole system possible. Without ITO, you'd either have a screen you couldn't touch or a touchpad you couldn't see.
So the next big challenge was packaging. Early on, the display and the touch sensor were totally separate components, just stacked on top of each other. But as we all started demanding thinner, lighter, and sleeker phones, engineers had to figure out how to merge these distinct layers into a single, seamless unit.
Let's just walk through this evolution. The first generation was Outcell, where a whole separate touch panel was basically glued onto the display module. This made devices thicker, and all those extra layers of glue and glass could reduce the clarity. Then came OnCell, where the touch sensor was integrated onto the top layer of the display panel itself. That was a pretty good compromise. But the holy grail, what's used in pretty much all high-end phones today, is in-cell technology. Here, the touch sensing electrodes are actually embedded within the display's pixels. There is no separate touch layer at all, which gives you the thinnest, brightest, and most responsive displays possible.
So, from a simple capacitor to a grid of transparent conductors embedded right inside the pixels of the display, the technology is a true marvel. But this evolution is far from over. Let's take a look at just how precise this tech has become and where it's headed next.
I want you to try and wrap your head around this for a second. The change in capacitance that your finger causes is measured in something called femtofarads. A femtofarad is 1 quadrillionth of a farad. That is a 1 with 15 zeros after the decimal point. The touch controller in your phone is sensitive enough to reliably detect that infinitesimal change amidst all the other electrical noise, and it does this hundreds of times every second. That is just an incredible feat of engineering. And this is where it all gets really exciting. This core technology is now being pushed into totally new form factors, like foldable and flexible displays that require the entire sensor grid to bend without breaking. We're seeing more and more sensors move under the display, like fingerprint readers and even cameras. We're getting much more sophisticated haptic feedback that can make the glass feel like it has different textures, and improved palm rejection so the screen knows when you're just holding it versus trying to tap something on a curved edge. And so, the humble touchscreen is still evolving. What started as just a replacement for a physical button has become this sophisticated sensor array that's now becoming flexible, foldable, and even more integrated into the world around us. It really makes you wonder,
As the glass itself starts to bend and fold and maybe even disappear, what's the next revolution? What will touch even mean then?